One day, in retrospect, the years of struggle will strike you as the most beautiful. Out of your vulnerabilities will come your strength. Being entirely honest with oneself is a good exercise. We choose not randomly each other. We meet only those who already exists in our subconscious. Where does a thought go when it's forgotten? Dreams are the royal road to the unconscious. The mind is like an iceberg. It floats with 1/7 of its bulk above water. Without love, we fall ill. All family life is organized around the most damaged person in it. The voice of the intellect is a soft one, but it does not rest until it has gained a hearing. If you want your wife to listen to you, then talk to another woman. She will be all ears. Psychiatry is the art of teaching people how to stand on their own feet while reclining on couches. Maturity is the ability to postpone gratification. From error to error, one discovers the entire truth. There are no mistakes. Loneliness and darkness have just robbed me of my valuables. A strong egoism is a protection. If you can't do it, give up. A father's death is the most important event, the more heartbreaking and poignant loss in a man's life. History is just new people making old mistakes. Crystals reveal their hidden structures only when broken. I cannot think of any need in childhood as strong as the need for a father's protection. Conscience is the internal perception of the rejection of a particular wish, operating within us. The game replaces a sexual enjoyment by pleasure in movement. The inclination to aggression constitutes the greatest impediment to civilization. How bold one gets when one is sure of being loved. I've been a fortunate man in life. Nothing has come easily. The only shame in masturbation is the shame of not doing it well. Everywhere I go, I find that a poet has been there before me. All giving is asking, and all asking is an asking for love. My love is something valuable to me, which I ought not to throw away without reflection. Words were originally magic, and the word retains much of its old magical power even today. If it's not one thing, it's your mother. I have found little good about human beings. In my experience, most of them are trash. Men are strong so long as they represent a strong idea. They become powerless when they oppose it. A woman should soften, but not weaken a man. When inspiration does not come to me, I go halfway to meet it. All that matters is love and work. Dreams are constructed from the residue of yesterday. Writers write for fame, wealth, power, and the love of women. The only person with whom you have to compare ourselves is that you in the past, and the only person better you should be. This is who you are now. Love and work, work and love. That's all there is. Most people do not really want freedom, because freedom involves responsibility, and most people are frightened of responsibility. The paranoid is never entirely mistaken. It is not attention that the child is seeking, but love. A piece of creative writing, like a daydream, is a continuation of and a substitute for what was once the play of childhood. Men are more moral than they think, and far more immoral than they can imagine. The news that reaches your consciousness is incomplete, and often not to be relied on. Turn your eyes inward. Look into your own depths. Learn first to know yourself. The virtuous man contents himself with dreaming, that which the wicked man does in actual life. Religion's 11th commandment is, "Thou shalt not question." Desire presses ever forward, unsubdued. In the depths of my heart, I can't help being convinced that my dear fellow men, with a few exceptions, are worthless. Where such men love, they have no desire, and where they desire, they cannot love. Two hallmarks of a healthy life are the abilities to love and to work. Each requires imagination. Dreams are the guardians of sleep, and not its disturbers. My way of working was different years ago. I used to wait until an idea came to me. Now I go halfway to meet it, though I don't know whether I find it any the quicker. Smoking is indispensable if one has nothing to kiss. Talk therapy turns hysterical misery to mundane unhappiness. When a man is freed of religion, he has a better chance to live a normal and wholesome life. Once again, only religion can answer the question of the purpose of life. One can hardly be wrong in concluding that the idea of life having a purpose stands and falls with the religious system. The most complicated achievements of thought are possible without the assistance of consciousness. The conscious mind may be compared to a fountain playing in the sun and falling back into the great subterranean pool of subconscious from which it rises. My boy, smoking is one of the greatest and cheapest enjoyments in life, and if you decide in advance not to smoke, I can only feel sorry for you. When we attempt to imagine death, we perceive ourselves as spectators. The great question that has never been answered, and which I have not yet been able to answer, despite my 30 years of research into the feminine soul, is, what does a woman want? A hero is a man who stands up manfully against his father, and in the end victoriously overcomes him. The scope of one's personality is defined by the magnitude of that problem which is capable of driving a person out of his wits. A fear of weapons is a sign of retarded sexual and emotional maturity. Life as we find it is too hard for us. It entails too much pain, too many disappointments, impossible tasks. We cannot do without palliative remedies. A man who has been the indisputable favorite of his mother keeps for life the feeling of a conqueror. No, our science is no illusion, but an illusion. It would be to suppose that what science cannot give us we can get elsewhere. Religion originates in the child's and young mankind's fears and need for help. It cannot be otherwise. Instinctive love toward an object demands a mastery to obtain it, and if a person feels they can't control the object, or feel threatened by it, they act negatively toward it. Thinking is an experimental dealing with small quantities of energy, just as a general moves miniature figures over a map before setting his troops in action. Civilized people have exchanged some part of their chances of happiness for a measure of security. A religion, even if it calls itself a religion of love, must be hard and unloving to those who do not belong to it. Just as no one can be forced into belief, so no one can be forced into unbelief. The more perfect a person is on the outside, the more demons they have on the inside. If you give it your little finger, it will soon have your whole hand. The interpretation of dreams is the royal road to a knowledge of the unconscious activities of the mind. Humor is a means of obtaining pleasure in spite of the distressing effects that interface with it.